Well, hey everybody. Thank you so much for joining me on this call this evening. I'm really excited to have you be here, and because it shows me that you're considering investing in real estate as an option, and we'd love to have you be part of this. So here we go. What is the best real estate strategy for you? And as you're hearing tonight, write down some notes, take an idea about what you want to accomplish, and see if you can make some choices for yourself as to, one, is real estate the right investment for you, and two, is this the right, and then pick whichever strategy you think you want to do the best. I'm just going to mute everybody real quick. Cool. So here we go. So let's get started. So first of all, this is showing you the what we call the learning curve for investing in real estate. There are many more strategies around investing in real estate, but they're usually just some more details about each of these major ways. The first one is wholesaling, and that's where a lot of people do begin. The next one we call it retailing, but it's really that buy, fix, and sell or flip this house kind of strategy. Then rental properties, and I'll be talking about not just apartments, but lots of different rental opportunities. And then finally, you may want to lend your own money to other people, and I'll be discussing that. Now, a lot of people do start with wholesaling. Some people start with rehabbing right away. I started with being a landlord or rental properties, because here in New England we have such a great abundance of multifamily houses that it was really easy to get involved with that. And rather quickly I became a private lender also. So let's talk about wholesaling for a moment. So the whole concept of wholesaling is that you're going to buy low and you're also going to sell low so that you leave enough money on the table for the rehabber to make their profit or for the landlord to make their profit. So for example, if the house is worth $250,000 once it's fixed up, then you might, and it needs about $50,000 worth of work. If you put it under contract for $100,000, somebody might pay you $10,000 so they've got $110,000. They put $50,000 into it. That's $160,000, and then they're going to have holding costs. They're going to have attorney's fees. They're going to have real estate fees and all that. They sell it for $250,000. They'll probably walk away with somewhere around $50,000 or maybe more. So that's a really good deal. It's a good deal for you. You made $10,000. It's a good deal for them. They made $50,000, $60,000. The advantage of it is that there's very little financial risk, because all you're going to do is put something under contract and assign that contract to somebody else. You're going to tie it up with $100 up to $1,000, but it's very, very small. You can make some really quick money. So if you're brand new at this industry, and you find a property that's worth that you think could be a good deal, and all you do is hear from your buddy at work that they need to sell this 3-family house, and then you hand it off to somebody else. They might be willing to pay you $500. They're going to walk through the property. They're going to negotiate it. They're going to estimate the repairs. They're going to do the whole deal, but they'll still be willing to give you $500 just for the lead. Now, over time, as you learn this industry, and some people learn it really quickly, you'll learn how to estimate repairs, what the value of the property is. You'll learn how to negotiate, and people will pay you $10,000 for a flip if there's enough money for that. And then sometimes people will pay even more. You can even make more. Like if you sell it to somebody who wants to move into the property, sometimes you have to buy it completely and then resell it. And I've made $50,000 on a deal. I know somebody's made $100,000. I know people that do this for a living, making $250,000 a year if you do it. So you have to learn how to do this. You have to learn marketing. You have to learn the rehab numbers. You have to learn negotiation. And it definitely takes some skills. You have to keep everybody in the game until you get to the closing table. So don't let people say it's really, really easy. It's easy, but you still have to learn the process. So, okay. Now, again, like I said, we have probably over 500 graduates of our coaching program. And then we have many members at CTREA who are looking to buy real estate, and they're skilled. So they can actually make more money and pay you more money if they do the negotiation themselves. So get out there, start looking at properties, start making offers, and see where it takes you. Then the next level is rehabbing. I also call it retailing, because you're making something look really pretty so you can sell it at a retail price. The advantage of this is you can make big chunks of money really quickly. You can make anywhere from 25 to 100K or more. It's a quick turnaround. You're usually in and out in less than 9 months. One of our students was in and out in a month. They took 2 or 3 weeks to fix it up. They put it under contract in 2 weeks, and then it closed 2 weeks later. So it was, I think, less than 2 months they were into it for. You obviously need skills. You need to know rehabbing skills. You need to know team management because there's a lot of people involved. You need to learn how to raise money for the project. You need skills on negotiating. And obviously you need creativity. You know, what's creative for you to be able to design, figure out the pictures, the colors. Do you need to take down a wall? Do you need to move a wall around? Do you have to move stairs around? And staging it to make it look pretty. It takes all those skills. The other thing is this, kind of a downside. It does give you big chunks of change, but rehabbing and wholesaling, that income is like ordinary income. It's just like going to work. When you go to work for 40 hours a week, you get a paycheck. Uncle Sam takes their chunk out of it. When you are doing wholesaling, same thing. If you make $10,000, that's going to be ordinary income. You got to pay taxes on it. Rehabbing, the same thing. So it's just like a job. The other thing that you want to really be careful of is that when you're rehabbing, you are at risk. You are putting a lot of money into this property, and you own it from the moment you put it under contract and you buy it, all through the rehabbing process until you actually sell it. And keep in mind, if you're buying it on a short sale or a real estate-owned project, both the banks have to approve your offer. Sometimes that could take months and months and months. And by the time you actually buy it, the market could have shifted. So something I want you to be aware of, you really need to be in good communication with your real estate agent to keep you up to date as to what's going on with the market so that you can find out really what's, you just have to stay on top of it because you can lose money in rehabbing. You can also make a whole lot of money. The more educated you are, the lower your risk. Okay. Now, there's lots of different things you can rehab, and a lot of people don't think about this, but condominiums, for example, are really nice, especially in your first project, because you only have to worry about the inside of it. You don't have to do the roof or the siding or the back porch, any of those things that usually take up most of your money. With a condo, you're only concerned about the inside of the project, so you can usually get in really quickly. Could be 3 weeks, a month, something like that. Single-family houses, of course, and then multifamily houses. You can renovate multifamily houses for you to hold on to or to turn around and sell it. So if you're going to hold on to it, you're going to do rehabs as if a renter is going to move in there, which is different quality of materials than if you're buying a single-family house to flip it to somebody else. You're almost never going to put granite countertops in an apartment, but a lot of times you will put granite countertops in a single family, for example. On the other hand, you may have a multifamily house where a homeowner would want to move into it, and you might want to make one of those units rehab it as if a homeowner is going to live in it, and then the other ones for the tenants going to be in there. I was just talking to somebody, they renovated a two-family house, and they didn't do anything to the second floor because the tenant there wanted to stay there, and yet they were able to sell it, I think, in 4 or 5 days. Incredible. Buying and holding apartments. Now, the advantage to this is that people always need a place to live, always. Many times because you're buying from another landlord or property manager or property owner, you can get owner financing because they're not emotional about this property. It's a business transaction for them. So this is where you can start getting into the creative financing that we teach so much in our coaching program. So having the owner hold a mortgage or or assuming a mortgage or something like that. We also call it the ideal investment, and this is what ideal stands for. I means income from your tenants. D means depreciation. Right now you can depreciate your building over 27 and a half years, I believe it is. So on a typical property that's worth $120,000, then you take off the land, you might save $4,000 in taxes. So in fact, we had a coaching graduate. She bought 3 two-family houses, 96% owner financing. She paid a lot in interest to the owner, and when she depreciated the building, she got $55,000 in depreciation credits. $55,000. That means that whatever her husband paid into taxes on his W-2, they got back. Isn't that incredible? So depreciation can really benefit you. Then you've got equity. You know, every month that you pay on your mortgage, you're increasing the equity on your property, and who pays your mortgage payment? That's your tenant. Then A, for appreciation, historically, real estate goes up 5% a year. Sometimes a lot more, sometimes less. But appreciation, especially if you're buying in good neighborhoods where things are going to get more valuable. So appreciation can help you, and you haven't done anything except to own the property. And then L stands for leverage. Even if you get a traditional mortgage and you have to put down 25%, you're still getting a loan of 75%, and yet you get 100% of the credit for everything. So when you buy a stock, because a lot of you are considering investing in the stock market, unless you do some crazy things, with a stock you're going to buy stock. So if one stock costs $100, you're paying $100. And with real estate, if it costs $100,000, you only have to pay down $25,000, and $75,000 is leverage to you. So something for you to consider. We definitely recommend that you buy in the best neighborhood that you can afford, because in lower income properties, and everybody needs a place to live, and some people specialize in lower income properties, but when people's jobs are iffy, then if they don't have a job, they're not going to be able to pay the rent. So historically, we found that you're going to have more turnover. You're going to have more wear and tear on your properties. So if you can try to buy in the best neighborhoods possible. You're going to get your monthly income that we talked about. You definitely want to have reserves to take care of maintenance and turnover, because you're always going to need to replace a roof. You're always, a hot water heater, a furnace, all those things. Whatever the lifespan is, 10 years, 15, 20 years, whatever it is. So you want to have money set aside to take care of those things. And then when somebody moves out, usually at least you're going to freshen it up with a new coat of paint, but you may have to make some repairs. So you want to keep reserves for that. And but then, of course, you get your monthly income and depreciation. That's the plus. And the minus is you have to wait for your big chunks of money. So I just got off the phone with somebody. I was discussing this. A lot of people go into rehabbing and wholesaling because they like the idea of making $10,000, $15,000, $25,000, $30,000 right off the bat. The one thing they forget is that it's ordinary income, which is taxed very heavily, just like a job. Apartments are not really sexy because maybe you'll make $500 to $1,000 a month on a rental property, and that's still pretty cool because if you make $1,000 a month, that's $12,000 a year. You can make money if you refinance it, right? If you refinance it and pull some cash out, or if you sell it out 10 years, 15, 20 years at a time. So over time, you make a lot of money, and over time, so you don't get big chunks of money right away. It'll take some time to do that. Imagine what your life is like when that property is paid off. When that property is paid off, then 100% of the rental income minus your taxes is going to you, which is really amazing. So, but you do have to wait some time. You have to be a little bit patient. But again, you're taxed much more affordably. So let's just say you made $12,000. If you made $12,000 by going to work, you would be taxed much more heavily than if it's an apartment. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. So let's talk about this. If you buy and hold condos, there is no snow shoveling, and you don't have to mow the lawn. So that's really advantageous for sure. You are only responsible for the inside. A lot of times you can get owner financing because the way condos are financed, it's often difficult for you to get a mortgage on it, which means you either pay cash or the owner will hold money for you. If the owner really wants to sell, very likely that they can hold the mortgage for you. The downside, of course, is that you have to deal with a condo association, so you want to make sure that your condo complex is well managed. You want to look at what are the monthly fees. If they're $135 a month, is that enough? If they're $350 or $400 a month, are you paying for a swimming pool, tennis courts that nobody's going to use? Totally up to you, but you want to evaluate that. You definitely want to see, do they have enough money in reserves? And do they have enough people that are owning the property so that if you do need to sell, you can? So, all right? So it's something for you to consider. Commercial. So these are other buy and hold situations. Office buildings, self-storage, storefronts or strip malls, what I mean, mixed use, like you have stores on the first floor and then you have apartments upstairs. You're going to buy them based on the same principles as apartments, but you must allow for higher vacancies because, again, people have to live someplace, but they don't necessarily have to have a store. You can evict people without going through the long due process that's involved with people. Again, many times, because these are commercial, it's not emotional, it's just by the numbers, you can get owner financing, you can assume certain mortgages. Just interesting way that you can do things. Then one more thing is land development. Are you a builder? So maybe you might be interested, if you're a builder, you might be interested in building on land. You want to figure out what is the highest and best use of that land. Is it a shopping mall? Is it an apartment building? Is it a self-storage facility? What is the highest and best use? One of my coaching students came across an empty lot, and we decided after looking at the town that really the best use was a two-family for that. You might want to consider modular construction because it's well made and it goes a lot faster, or you may want to do traditional stick build. That's up to you. I do recommend you might want to use an option when you put this under contract. An option allows you to, you're the first right of refusal. You get to buy this property. Nobody else gets to buy this property unless they get your permission. But if things don't turn out, you can rip up the contract and walk away. The advantage of this is that, especially with large tracts of land, acreage, you're going to have to do some due diligence to find out what you're allowed to build. You're going to have to get zoning and permits and figure out where the roads are going to go. What about the septic? What about water, sewer? How is all that going to work? It takes time. It could take a year. It could take a couple of years to get permission from the community. So that's a really good thing. And because of that, it's not for the faint of heart. If you are going to do this, one thing I definitely would recommend if you are a builder, look in the more urban areas where they might have knocked down a house because of fire or blight. And so maybe one empty lot on a well-kept street. At least you can look and see what else is going on that particular block. And if you build something similar to it'll fit in with the block, you could make some good money. And it's more like buying a house that you already, like rehabbing a house because you know what's acceptable in that town and on that block and what the price would be. So that's something you might want to consider. Then the last strategy that we talk about is private lending. So what this means is you're going to take your hard-earned money, you're going to do something with it, but you're not going to buy real estate. So first thing is you might want to buy a tax lien or a tax deed, which I don't really talk too much about on this. It depends on which state. Connecticut is not as favorable as other states for doing this. But again, you're going to either have a lien on the property, in which case you have to wait for a while before you can do anything with it. You may have to foreclose on the person living there, but sometimes, depending on the state, could be really valuable for you. Or you actually get the deed to the property. And again, you may have to wait 6 months to get that deed. So you're twiddling your thumbs until you get it. But in some cases, tax liens, tax deeds can be extraordinarily profitable. You might also want to buy and sell a note. And how does this work? So, for example, I sold a condo a long time ago, and I created a note for, I think the balance was like $10,000. So I created a note with them, and they had to pay me a certain amount every single month. It turned out great. They paid me. I made my profit. But say I needed money right away. I could have sold that note to somebody who had money, and I'd probably sell it at a discount. So if I created the note for $10,000, they might only pay me $7,000, right? But they still get the note for $10,000, so they're going to make that profit of $3,000. I lost $3,000. So buying and selling notes is a possibility. Most popular way is just to lend to a rehabber or a buy and hold person so that they can buy the property, fix it up, and either sell it or rent it out. This is very, very common for people to do. Interest rates can range anywhere from 6% to 15%, depending on the type of transaction, what people are doing. But so that's something for you to consider. The plus on this is that you're not doing any work. You can use self-directed funds through certain accounts that allow you to invest in real estate. You could borrow against your stock portfolio without cashing out your stock. You could borrow against your life insurance and then put that money to work a second time. The minus, of course, is that you could lose your money. You don't have real control over that project. So you could lose money, so you want to be aware of that. So you definitely want to do your due diligence on the person themselves and the project. which is why we want you to be educated. You know, take our education, really understand real estate so you know what you're lending on. That's really important. So, any questions about that? Because you can type in a question if you'd like. See, I'll just say here, any questions? If you do, that'd be great. All right, cool. Good. All right, so then we'll do the next thing, which is this. So I wanted to go into, now that you've kind of heard the different strategies, now the question is, where should you invest? Now, some of you from New York or Massachusetts or Rhode Island, and same principles apply. I'm just going to talk about the Connecticut market just for this purposes, but I'm hoping this gives you some ideas of what kind of research you want to do in your own state and in your own community. So, oops. Okay, where do you want to invest? First and foremost, invest close to you. No more than 20 minutes if at all possible, because if you're rehabbing, you've got to go there a couple times a week, even if you're not the contractor. And if you're 45 minutes away and you've got to meet the building department to pass an inspection, it gets old pretty quickly. Same thing if you're a rental property and you know somebody calls you because they got a problem at the building, if it's 45 minutes away, it's better if you're closer. That's what I'm trying to say. Another way to figure out where do you want to invest, decide what is your end result, and then figure out what is the best community for that end result. So again, if you're going to rehab, buy and hold, if you're going to sell, so some counties are much better. I would say like Fairfield County is probably better for buying, fixing, and selling, because buying and holding, the numbers, it's really hard to make the numbers work on there. Another area, some of the real urban areas might be better to buy and hold, because whoever wants to live in those towns probably are going to have difficulty getting a mortgage. So just count on you're going to hold on to it for longer. So figure out what your strategy is. If you're a beginner, obviously join CT-REA and begin your education so you know what you're doing, because there's so many factors and variables when you're investing. Have a mentor, have a coach so you can run your ideas by them, check your research, and figure out what the best thing is to do. It's really interesting. I get a chance and honor to talk to so many investors, and it's really interesting to hear what they're working on and their perspective on things, and hearing what's so in the field as opposed to what the media might say or what the headlines might say. So you really want to dig down deep to find out what are the statistics in your area, what's really selling and what's really renting, so you can make some decisions. If you're rehabbing, you definitely want, as I said before, you want to look and you want to invest in an area where the property values are going up. You can talk to your real estate agent to see if that's happening in your area. So you also want to be looking for, whether you're rehabbing or buying and holding, you want to look for these drivers. Universities are expanding a lot in Connecticut. If they're adding new departments, they're adding housing, they're adding new locations. That could be a great area for rentals in particular. Is there job growth? So if there's job growth, it's creating new jobs and more permanent jobs for direct people, but it also impacts gas stations, delis, restaurants, dry cleaners. All of those smaller businesses are dependent upon strong job growth, and when there's strong job growth, you're going to have more better tenants. By better, I mean higher income tenants, and you're going to have people that want to buy a house because they have confidence in buying the house. Okay, hopefully that all makes sense. So here's a couple things we've noticed lately. So Amazon, 2 fulfillment centers, one in Windsor, one in Wallingford. That's stable. Springfield, Massachusetts, are putting in a new casino, and they're also got approved for a casino in Enfield, Connecticut. In Springfield, they also have rail car manufacturer. In West Haven, they're building a new high-end outlet mall. So these are for really like Saks Fifth Avenue and Bloomingdale's, really high-end stores, but this is going to be an outlet center. So first there's a construction phase, and then there's going to be employment. Groton is electric boat is adding 3,000 jobs just this year, and then it's going on over time. Fairfield, Sikorsky is staying. They made a big commitment to the state. GE is moving some of I've gotten an update on this. GE, yes, they're moving their headquarters to Boston, but not all of their jobs are leaving there. A lot of the jobs are staying here. And then UBS, RBS, they may have moved some of their staff back into the city, but some people will stay here. But what it's done is in Fairfield County, a lot of homeowners have gotten very nervous. Either they got their job, lost their job, and are transferring, or they are afraid of losing their job. So there's more inventory than there's been, and it's taking longer to sell properties. So, and it is town by town. So again, you've got to do your research. East Hartford, Pratt & Whitney there has recommitted to the area, and that's really added a whole lot of jobs and a lot more job confidence, and real estate is really heating up in that area. So you see how that is. If you do the research, read the newspaper. Get your local newspaper, read it, see what's going on in your town and your community. Read your town's website to find out what they're saying about what's going on in your town. It's really interesting. Now, buy and hold strategy, a couple things. This area has the tightest rental market in the country, which means very, very, very low vacancy, which means if you buy in decent areas where people want to live, you're going to have a plethora of tenants. Student housing is big. Just be aware that some insurance companies will charge you more if you rent to students, and be aware of your neighbors and be a good neighbor to your neighbors. Being near construction projects, I already talked about that. And again, do a good job with your quality housing. Every time a tenant tells me I'm going to move because they're mad at me for something, I said, okay, that's fine. Then they do their research and they come back a month later and say, no, we're going to stay. Why? Because our buildings are built well, they're constructed well, they're decorated well. I'm not saying they're the Taj Mahal, but for that price point, they're getting more value than if they went to anybody else in the market. So, Connecticut housing market, I thought I'd throw some statistics at you. This comes from the Connecticut Economic Resource Council. They have lots of information. That's their job. Connecticut contains 2 of the top 5 most undervalued housing markets in the United States. 2 out of the top 5. New Haven is 23% undervalued. Hartford is 21% undervalued. This means the greater New Haven area, the greater Hartford area. That means if you wait around a little bit longer, these property values are going to go up. And we're not sure exactly which day, which month, but if you can buy now and hold on to them, you're going to see appreciation. The rate of new sales for new homes valued at $250,000 plus is increasing. Sales prices of larger suburban homes is lower than a decade ago. I think that's because we have an older population now and they don't need the big McMansions. Younger generations are buying later in life, which means that's great for apartments. Baby boomers no longer need spacious homes. So you might want to, that's where the condo concept comes in. At some point, we don't want to shovel snow. Notice I slipped into we. I guess I'm putting myself as a baby boomer. We don't want to shovel snow. We don't want to mow the grass. If somebody else wants to do it, we're willing to pay for it. There's some economic uncertainty still, so people are still holding off. Smaller homes and rentals in more urbanized areas are increasingly popular. We're finding a higher use of public transit and even bicycles, believe it or not. So there's a move toward urbanization, so something you might want to take advantage of. Okay. As far as the United States goes, I'm just going to throw this up there for you to take a look at. Sorry. A couple things. Obviously, we have a new administration, so that's figuring things out. Tax reform is happening. We're going to see how that pans out over the next couple of years. The Dodd-Frank overhaul, this should mean that banks are going to be able to lend more and their standards might be a little bit easier, but we shall see how that works out. Interest rates, as you can tell, are already going up, so if you can get in now, that's a really good idea for you. So, Connecticut home sales and median price. So this is some good news. These are statistics between November 2015 and November 2016. So year over year, sales price, single family home median price is $249. It's 6% higher than the year before. Number of sales increased 15.9%, so that's really good. Townhouses and condos, their price went up by 4.1%, and the number of sales went up by 12.6%. So it's looking like Connecticut is pretty darn strong. What can Connecticut, and again, if you're not in this area, you want to find out where you are in that area. By the way, I have some specific statistics about which towns are hot, which towns are not hot. You may want to talk to your real estate agent to get that. or you can send me an email and I'll respond. Membership at CT REA. I can look at the statistics for you. So what can Connecticut REA do for you? Once you've decided, yes, real estate is a thing that I want to do, I can make some really good money, and, then I'll tell you why I invest in real estate versus anybody else. But let me tell you what CT REA can do for you. First of all, we provide a lot of networking, lots of friends, business partners, deal partners come together. You can stay up to date on current trends. If you show up to our meetings month in and month out, you're going to hear from other people. You're going to hear what's going on. Contractor referrals, deal referrals, and so much more. I totally encourage you to join our association. It's only $165 for the year. You get to attend our monthly meetings for free. You get discounts on all of our other workshops and one-day seminars. We also give you discounts. I'll show you that in a minute. Totally worth it. Then we have our Real Estate 101 program. I'm going to walk you through that. That's the next step that most people take. And then we do have our Fast Track Team Coaching program, and that's happening, that's starting very soon, like next week. So, in fact, our monthly meeting is next Monday, March 20th. This is the agenda. Wright Thurston is going to be speaking. He teaches you how to make big money on small apartments. He's a big believer on you don't need to buy 50 units. You don't have to buy 100 units. You can make it big on 2s, 3s, 4s, 12s, 18 units, right? And he's a multi-millionaire, and he's invested, and he has students around 60 countries. So he's going to be sharing about that. Plus, he has 2 fun hobbies. He's going to share about how investing in real estate has allowed him to develop these other hobbies. If you use this code, if you're not yet a member of CT REA, use the code WEB15 that I have up here, WEB15. That'll save you $15. Normally it's $30, only $15 to come. Get there early. Get there by 5:30, network with our vendors, and then we do an early bird workshop where we'll just dissect certain deals. We'll answer your questions. Then there's networking going on, and then this time Wright is going to start. He's going to teach for over 2 hours, so we want to get you there early so you can take full advantage of it. So, that's what Wright looks like, as a matter of fact. Okay, so let me go back to this one. Let me go live here for a moment. I don't see any questions yet, which is fine. So, go to ctrea.com. I want to walk you through the website because even a lot of our members don't know everything that we have. So you come here. This is always our monthly meeting. This is the location of it over here. You can learn more here. If you know you want to register, you just click there. If you're a member, I totally recommend you register for the meeting, even if it's free. And then below here we have all these different other events. These are winners from 2016. At the end of each year, we give out awards to people for Rookie of the Year, Most Profitable Deal of the Year, Turning Lemons into Lemonade, all kinds of awards for people because our members are really successful. Both our coaching graduates and our regular members are really, whatever. I just said that, really successful is what I'm trying to say. So then registering is really easy. And then for our members, I want to tell you about My Account. So My Account will keep a list of every single program you've ever registered for. So when you want to create a credibility package for private lenders or for owner financing, all you have to do is go here, export this, and print it out, and you can say, look, I'm a real professional about real estate. So I highly recommend that you do that. And again, that's in the members area under My Account. Then visit member benefits. You can get an extra 2% back from Home Depot just by registering your credit cards with Home Depot. Twice a year they'll give you 2% back. We also save you money on Sherwin-Williams and Roto-Rooter and all these other places that you want to take advantage of. Then, also in the members area, I want to tell you about, we have all of our newsletters that are archived. You can use these for seeing pictures of deals, reading articles that we've created for you, so that's a really great thing for you to participate with. Then I've also, from time to time, I'll do webinars like this. So last week I did a webinar, 2 weeks ago, did a webinar on 3 ways of marketing. And I explained 3 different ways of marketing to find both sellers and buyers, and they were all free. And then I added in a couple other bonuses just for fun. So I highly recommend it. Now this information tends to be timeless, So definitely recommend you go back there, even if there's an older date on it. It's totally worth listening to learn a lot. We just have a lot that's in there. The other thing is under members. We have free downloads, which includes lots of different fun things for you. And then we also have, if you want to volunteer, we're always looking for volunteers for our meetings. This explains everything. It's really a great way to be part of to meet every single person walking through there. People think you know something because you're a volunteer with us, and it's a lot of fun. And you're contributing, you're giving back to the community that's allowing for you to have our meetings. And then we have all these, we have lots of different calculators for you this is in the Investor Tools area. Okay. In the Investors Corner, this is available to everybody. You can find out about deals that our members are selling, rentals. This is our service directory, all kinds of vendors from attorneys to lenders to accountants to building supplies to contractors. All of them are listed here. Use them. I mean, they are our sponsors, and they know how to work with real estate investors. And they do a good job for us, because if they don't, I kick them out. Then we have our blog and other real estate articles, and then we have the information about the government. So we have all those things. We do have items in the store, by the way. You might want to take a look there. And then let me just go back here. There's two other things I really want to talk to you about. First of all, as I said, Real Estate 101. This is every successful member I know of has done this course. It is the foundation. See how this house is upside down? Well, you want to get the foundation first. And so we teach you all different ways of how to find real estate, how to evaluate how much it's going to cost, how to evaluate the deal, how to wholesale, so a whole module on wholesaling, what to rehab, what not to rehab, how to sell the property really quickly, how to rent it if you want to buy and hold. So I go into much more detail on the strategies I described earlier. There's 9 modules. They're all online, so you can study it 24/7. You get a video, and then you also get a manual that goes with each one. Now, I've also included 2 spreadsheets, one for analyzing a rental deal and one for analyzing a flipping deal. I also give you a spreadsheet for helping you to estimate repairs, and I give you several different forms that you're going to need when you're wholesaling. When I was putting this course together, it's like, oh my gosh, there is so much in here. I literally could take that course and start making offers next week. And the course is really worth at least $1,000. That's what most national trainers are selling this information for. But here at CT REIA, we like to make things as affordable as possible for you. And so it's only $249. And you can do this online. And then when we do the course live again, which will probably be in the fall, you don't have to pay again. So it's quite the bargain. This is where I definitely want you to start. So if you start, go to home, and then if you go to Real Estate 101, that's how I got there. Then we have our coaching program. And because we're starting next week, I'm going to take you directly to ctreacoaching.com. Now, I did a webinar last night about why you might want to have a coach and all the different success and how we work with you. So if you want to hear the replay of why I have a coach, please send me an email to membership@ctrea.com. I'll get that to you. But take some time on this website, because there's a lot of information on there about real estate. There's also testimonials. By the way, we don't pay any of our people for testimonials. We also have some audio and PowerPoints on some success stories, so you can learn from their deals. In fact, let me click on that. This is Mark. This is of Rehab. This is Dana, brand spanking new. Mark didn't know anything about real estate when he came to us. Dana didn't know anything about real estate at all. And right away bought a rental property, so this is going to talk about his progression as rental. Joy was already a rehabber and a realtor, but she really streamlined her business, and this talks about that. Maureen is a big into apartments. She buys large apartment complexes. Now, you may be renting. If you're listening to this call and you're renting, you're going to be really inspired by this story, because Daniel needed a house for his family, and he found a home on the MLS, was able, because we trained him, learned how to approach the seller. He bought this house with none of his own money, 100% financing for 3 years from the homeowner, and it was a $400,000 house, appraised for $400,000 house in a really nice neighborhood, and he got in there without any of his own money pretty cool. And then this is another rehab deal. So take a few minutes and listen to how this works. So I promised you that I was going to let you know about why I think, why I do real estate. Because I don't know that much about stocks. My dad invested in stocks and bonds and did all that, but I just didn't really understand it. Why I personally like real estate is that I can see it, touch it, and feel it. I can walk up to my rental properties, and it's there. I am the CEO of my company. I make all the decisions. I decide that this is a good deal. When I invest in stocks and bonds, I'm depending on something else. What did the CEO of the company, and where are they going? What is their direction? Are they going to get bought by somebody? Are they selling for somebody? People that really understand it, they do really well, but it's also volatile. It goes up and it goes down, as you know. With real estate, especially with apartments, it doesn't really matter if the values go up or go down because you still have that cash flow. You still have your tenants paying you rent month in and month out. So, for example, I have a building that is upside down. I owe more than what it's worth. But I don't really care because I'm making $1,500 a month in positive cash flow. I don't really care. I'll pay that down, I'll pay that down, I'll pay that down. When I'm done, I'll have it free and clear. And and then I'll double my cash flow. So that is why I like real estate. And that's why I recommend it to you. But if you're still unsure, here's what I invite you to do. Send me an email to membership@ctrea.com. Membership@ctrea.com. Say, hey, I'm really curious about this. How could this work for me? What strategy do you think I should invest in? And what's the next step for me? Should I join CTREA? Should I attend a meeting? Should I sign up for Real Estate 101? Should I hire a coach? What is it for you? By the way, one last thing about our coaching program. There are lots of coaching programs that come through Connecticut. They come in, they do preview events, then they do a 2 or 3 day workshop, and then they sign you up for something. Here's the deal. We are here month in and month out. If we were not doing a good job, if you did not have access to, there's only 3 coaches. We have 30-plus years of experience each. If we did not do a good job, if we did not produce success stories, we would not still be in business. So try us out. Test us out. See what we can do for you. And because coaching starts next Wednesday, and our monthly meeting is coming up this Monday. I look forward to meeting you in person. As I said, if you have any questions at all, please send an email to membership@ctrea.com. Or if you want to apply for anything, just go to ctreacoaching.com, fill out an application, we'll have a conversation. All right, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. I will talk to you very soon, and at least I'll see you at the monthly meeting. All right, take care of yourselves. Have a great day.